Hey there, I'm Alec. I've been a programmer for over 10 years at this point, and I built an automation system that allowed me to sell AI art on Etsy, work about 4 hours a week or less, and still do $3,000 months like this. In this video, I'm going to answer your questions directly, so if you have questions, comment below this video, and I'll answer them in the following video. This is the YouTube AI Art Sellers Collective QA, and yeah, let's get into it. In the last video, we left off with this comment. It was essentially saying that the market on Etsy is totally saturated and there's no room to carve out a niche. And I want to show the example of Four Sisters Print Shop, who makes an estimated 10K, 11K per month selling digital downloads on Etsy, right? So they post these once and they sell over and over again. They can sell in the middle of the night. It's instant delivery. It's just a digital file. And they have niched the heck down into this watercolor pastel style, and even sort of like a children's oriented theme, right? Stuff like this and dinosaurs, right? So the riches are in the niches. I love that saying, and I think it is absolutely true. The deeper you can go without like crumbling and wanting to go too wide, right? Because it's hard to go deep, but the deeper you can go, that's where the money is at, right? So that was my answer to that, and so now let's keep moving. So these are still from a few months ago. We're sort of getting through the backlog with QA comments here. Do you use an upscale tool like Gigapixel or Pixel Cut after downloading your art from Midjourney and upscaling it? No. I know after Midjourney you take it to Photoshop and increase the DPI and resize it to the correct ratios, but I'm still confused about the quality to print. Do I use? Yeah, so this is a great question. Yeah, so I showed this in the last video, but this is sort of my ultimate guide here. So I recommend creating art designs in 4:5 aspect ratio, so you can do --AR 4:5 on Midjourney or whatever tool you want. In the Tempest automation script that you get a part of my community, or you can do this yourself by hand, upscale to these sizes and crop. These are all encompassing for almost any print size. If someone reaches out via DM and says they want like a 50x50 print, that's fine. That could be a custom resize, but 99 times out of 100, these sizes are going to cover every single one of your bases. And this just uses Photoshop Bicubic Smoother upscaling tool. That's all you need. I know if you, like if we go like this, it's like, oh my gosh, look, it's so pixelated. But trust me, when you print it out, first of all, no human eye is really going to get up close like that. And someone would know. They would see, okay, like, sure, it looks distorted if I look at like 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. But even from here, it's like it probably will look fine. It might look a little weird on your computer, but that could just be like the visualizing software you're using, depending on the tool. Yeah. And at almost any size you print these, unless it's extremely large, it'll be 300 DPI or above. Same with 5:4. And then, of course, I recommend 16:9 for frame TV. So I personally don't use Gigapixel AI. I don't think you need to, because when you do use that, it increases the pixel dimensions to like 15,000 by 15,000. Whereas when you use the Bicubic Smoother in Photoshop, it just fills in the gaps as it's increasing the pixel sizes. So it's like adding pixel, like for example, if we're upscaling, I mean, if we were upscaling this design, as we're like growing it, it's just filling in extra pixels with the pixels around it, right? So it's like adding a little bit of white as we get bigger and bigger. It's adding a little bit of black as we get bigger and bigger. So does that make sense? It's like, that's really all you need. Yeah. And it saves you money on software subscriptions. So you can just do it all with the Photoshop. You can do it all in Photoshop, or you can do it all with the Photoshop script. It's totally up to you. So thank you for that comment, by the way. And this person uses a bulk upscaler. Yeah, so I mean, you could do that too, but it all have like in the Tempest script, you run it, it crops, upscales, renames, mocks up, done. All one shot. You click like one button and you're good to go. Mr. Bosch says, bro, you gotta do sref codes. Yeah, I like using sref codes. That's kind of like to each their own in terms of style. I think it can help. I think just sort of like prompt crafting helps as well. It's a little bit more predictable. But if you have a great sref code, like go ahead and use it. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially like a style command. It's like a ID for a style, right? Like an ID card for a given style that you can add to any one of your prompts. So yeah, use them if you want to. I personally just like to kind of craft the prompt into the way I would like, and then I use style raw. Since this works in Photoshop, will it also work in Photopea? Great question. The answer is no, unfortunately. Photopea is not as good as Photoshop. I don't know a PC way to say that, right? But it's just not as good. It barely has a scripting environment. I know there are ways to do sorts of automations within the Photopea like UI, but it can't do nearly as much as the tried and true Photoshop that's been around for like 20 years. Plus, it's like riddled with ads, right? It's the free version, but I don't know, for $20 a month to get the ultimate, like the best graphic design tool that exists, in my opinion, that's worth it, especially if you are trying to build a business around graphic design. It's one of the only costs associated with this business at all. And yeah, I mean, if you're making like $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, the $20 a month Photoshop membership pays for itself in seconds. And you can even do other stuff like make your banner or make your logo or do whatever you need to do in Photoshop. Like sometimes it really helps to throw something in, do a quick crop or do the generative fill that now exists for no extra charge with the AI features. So yeah, long story short, no to Photopea. I really tried. I'm not just like dismissing you. I really tried to make the script work in Photopea a couple months ago, and it was a lot. It was a lot of work, and it just doesn't behave the same way. Photoshop uses a really nice extend script environment that you can create the script in. Photopea, not so much. So that's my answer to that, but I would recommend Photoshop if you're serious about making money with art or any sort of graphics design. Hey Alec, really nice video. Thank you. I was wondering if I could help you with editing. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Maybe we can chat. I've been looking for an editor. I think that would be very helpful. Custom AI solutions. Thank you for the video. It's exactly what I need for my website shop. I will design the artwork and provide feedback. Thanks again. Yeah, you're welcome. So in this video, I walked through kind of creating art with Midjourney, and I think there's a prompt right at the in the description here. So this was the video where I walked through, yeah. So here's the ChatGPT prompt. Give me 15 breathtaking Midjourney prompts that will generate beautiful spring-themed oil paintings. Keep ideas separate. Every prompt should mention oil painting. Yeah. So I love this prompt. I use something similar every time where it's like oil painting, brush strokes, and then just like formatting. So landscapes, still life, individual trees, right? All great any sort of like nature or landscape scenes just crush, as long as their kind of like style and composition is correct. So yeah, I love using this prompt. You can send it to Atlas Muse, which is one of the custom GPTs in my community, the AI Art Sellers Collective right here. If you go into the resources, you can click this link. This is the GPT that I'd recommend. It's like an AI that is already pre-trained to create best-selling AI art. So you can just give it the prompt like this, and you could even change it to like Halloween or something like that, right? Or fall. And then all you have to do is just kind of wait for 2 seconds and then hear all of your prompts, right? Oil painting, maple trees, like thick brush strokes, right? These are all great. And the next step would be to put this in the automation GPT here, who turns this big list of prompts into one prompt, and then you can paste it right into Midjourney. So that's kind of like the workflow I recommend. So let's go on to the next one. Hi Alec, I wonder, does Downpour come with storage? Before this, I learned from other videos that I need to store all the final images in Google Drive, write the shared links into a PDF, and then upload it to Etsy. So is that how your system works? 3 months ago. That's awesome. So just recently, I think maybe less than a month ago, we dropped the Google Drive uploader feature with Downpour. So currently in the automation system, you can just drag and drop your art designs and they get uploaded to Google Drive. So they get processed, they get uploaded to Google Drive. And then right before they're uploaded to Etsy, it grabs the shareable link to each Google Drive folder, pastes it into a custom PDF of your choice, and then uploads all those listings to Etsy. So yes, this does now exist. Thank you for the comment. And that actually just made my day to read that. So yes, it does this now completely automatically. The software is kind of like the one-stop shop for anyone who wants to sell AI art on Etsy. Or, I mean, if you want to sell other printable products too, you can. It's made for AI art, but there are other sellers using it for other products right here, right now. So why don't you use your own shop as an example? Oh, drama. So the reason for this is that I want to be able to actually build my shop kind of uninterrupted, right? I want to be able to give you guys trends and data and stuff like that, and like prompt drops that actually work. And if I have a ton of people going in and looking at my listings and like messing with the conversion rate, and my conversion rate goes down to like 1% or 0.1% or something like that, that's not going to be good for my shop, and I'm going to stop like being able to get realistic data as to what actually converts, right? So as I'm giving you these drops, like these are real prompts for my shop, and I'm kind of like constantly trying to create new ones to keep more into the pipeline so I can give you the prompts after I see which ones sell. So that would kind of screw up that whole system. So that's why. That's kind of the best answer I can give you right now. So sorry about that. I'd love to kind of give you the whole thing and just like reveal it all. I feel like I kind of have in this group, like in terms of mock-ups. So in terms of mock-ups and like PDFs and size charts and stuff, like this is real stuff that I've been using, and I've kind of made it available for you guys to use too. So it's how I know stuff converts, I guess, is sort of the short answer. That was kind of a long answer. But either way, stealing from Hormozy. Yep. So that's how I opened that video. I love Hormozy. He is probably one of the best content creators on YouTube, and yeah, one of the smartest guys that I've ever been able to witness in our day and age. Well, that was good script writing. Thank you. I don't write scripts for my videos really. I just make bullet points, but that's fine. Good video. I'm really thinking of trying out this method to make some extra income. I would recommend it. I mean, there are sellers making $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 plus doing this right now. And I still feel like we're early. Like AI art only came out a couple years ago and it's just getting started. Like the fact that there's not, it feels like, how do I say this? It's not going to go away, right? And Etsy is actually kind of like promoting AI products. So there was a new rule where you have to include in your description that the prints and such are made by AI. You can add that as like a 1-sentence piece of your description. But there's a reason people are buying them, right? It's because it's just good and they're only going to get better. So if they're completely like promoted and all good by Etsy, and they are making sales, which means there's demand, and they're only getting better and better with time, like that means the graph is like this, right? So yeah, I would recommend getting it now. Totally up to you, obviously, but like from this compared to other items like t-shirts or whatever other business you would want to start, I feel like this is the kind of like highest leverage, bang for your buck, return on time, especially with the automation system, which of course, like I'm biased, but yeah, I would highly recommend it. It seems to be amazing what you've built. Congratulations. I wonder whether the automatic AIs also work with other types of products. Let's say shirts, phone cases, and so on. Thanks. Yeah, so the short answer is no. The custom AI title and tag writing GPTs, or I guess the custom AI title and tag writing AI model that's used in Downpour, the uploading software, is 100% completely trained on art products. We just recently released an update where you can type in a guidance note. So you could say, hey, by the way, these are phone case products. Make sure you use SEO for phone cases. So I guess maybe I take that back. I think the answer is yes. It's just you might have to put in a little bit more of a guidance note to train the AI on your specific use case. But yeah. Everything else could be pretty much automated. Currently, there's no integration with Printify or any of those print providers with the system that I've built. So, yeah, I've been thinking about it, but it feels like a bit of a crossroads, like a divergence from kind of digital AI art that I want to focus on if I were to do that. So for now, we're focusing on digital AI art. Let's revisit this in maybe a couple months. Is it best to focus on a niche or a general shop? Follow-up, there are successful shops who do both. I think whatever you can maintain enthusiasm for could work. Underrated. If you have a broad range of interests, go general. If you are really into something, niche. Great comment. Where's the beef? there's a ton of advice online, and it's super valid that you should follow the trends, look at what's actually selling, all that. But I don't want you to get burned out. If you follow the trends exclusively, it can become soulless and lifeless. And sometimes you're not even sure what the art looks like, or whether you like what it like the art result turns out as, because you aren't the person who would even want to buy it. You're just making it for the trends. That being said, trends are great. It's great to do analysis, the Everbee tool and stuff like that, or just going on Etsy and see like what has a bestseller badge. 10 out of 10, recommend that. But you want to make stuff that you like, right? So I've done that with my shop. I try to share that in some of these prompt drops in the community too. Like I love landscapes. That's what I've had a lot of my success with. Oops, sorry. Let's go to the AI art showcase. So like stuff like this and Halloween, right? So yeah. And like I said in the beginning, the riches are in the niches, right? If you're like these guys, they make quite a bit of money, and they're one of the newest shops compared to like some other shops like Lexington Prints and North Prints, who still have a ton of sales, but in terms of like recent sales and momentum, from the data, Four Sisters is actually doing even better, right? And they've niched the heck down. So that's maybe my little 2 cents on that. This is really great advice. Thank you for chiming in. So I think that's actually a really good place to stop for today. We got through a ton of questions. This is a huge backlog, but we've went from 6 months ago to 2 months ago, and we're slowly making progress. And yeah, please leave a comment below this video, and we'll get to it in the next couple episodes of this series. And yeah, I really appreciate all you guys. I hope you can tell that I'm all in on this AI art business. I really do think it's going like this, right? It's gonna hockey stick. And those of us who can get in early are just going to be able to cash out. And like, if nothing else, so you might make $5,000, you might make $10,000, you might make more per month selling AI art on Etsy, but double whammy, you get the skills of knowing how to make these AI art designs and products. And that stays with you forever, because AI image generation tools are not going away. And those skills are going to be super valuable, and they will carry with you forever. Like, I'm a huge fan of investing in skills. I got this from Hormozy, who we talked about earlier. But don't invest your money in the S&P 500. Invest it in the S&Me 500, right? Yeah, sort of a funny saying, but I think it's actually true. Like, the more you can invest in skills and things that compound with time, like skills, the better off in life you are. And that's why I've kind of like decided to do harder things, right? Like making content. That's not something I would normally do. I'm a programmer kind of like first and foremost, but you want to do the hard things and learn the skills that you can take with you forever. So that's what I got for you guys today. Leave a comment below this video and I'll answer the questions directly, just like we're doing here. And I will see you in the next one.